Hiya, I'm Carly from Kip McGrath in Carlisle, and today we're looking at circles. So following on from our area and perimeter things, this is now area and perimeter of circles, but also naming parts of circles. So we'll start with naming the parts. And the first thing that we need to know is that you've got your centre of your circle, which is in there. Okay, halfway across the circle, or from the centre to the outside, this guy here is called the radius. Okay, we also have this guy here who is all the way across our circle, and that one is called your diameter. All right, then we have something that cuts through our circle but doesn't go through the middle. So this is cutting our circle up, but it's not going through the middle, and it's called a chord. Okay, and then we've got something like this that meets a radius at 90 degrees, and it is called a tangent to the circle. So going off at a tangent, that's our tangent. And then we've got these little parts here. So wherever there's a chord, the thing it creates, so the part it creates here, is called a segment. And that one there, because it's the smaller one, would be called the minor segment, and the other one, you've guessed it, would be the major. Okay, and then we also have this guy here. So when we've got two radiuses that cut up a section like that, that is called a sector. Okay, and those are all our key parts of circles labelled. From there, we'll move on to our two key formulas that children need to learn. So the first one is how to find out the area, which, as we've already said, is how many little squares would be on the inside. Obviously, this is not a one where we're going to be able to draw squares in it and try and count them, because there's so many curved edges that that's going to make that far too difficult. So there's a specific formula, which is pi r squared. Pi times the radius squared, and everybody sort of panics when they see that pi sign. Pi has a value and your calculator will do that for you. So pi r squared, pi is roughly 3.14, and it continues for a lot of numbers, but sometimes in maths questions it will say obviously use your calculator. Sometimes it will say use the value of pi as this, and you would have to use that in your calculation. And sometimes it asks you to leave it in terms of pi. So if, for example, our radius was 6, what we would be doing is pi times 6 squared. Because of BODMAS, we would do our squared first, which is 36. So we've got pi times 36. If we're leaving it in terms of pi, we would actually just have 36 pi using our algebra rules. If we had to use this 3.14, we'd have to do 3.14 times 36. 4 6s, 24, carry a 2. 1 6 is 6, 7, 8. 3 6s are 18. And then pop our 0 down here. 4 3s are 12, carry a 1. 3 add 1 is 4, 3 3s are 9. Add them up is that. Because there's 2 decimal places in the question, there's 2 in the answer, so that would be our area using that value. And obviously we could use a calculator if we had to do the exact value of pi. And generally it will ask you to round it, and it will say how many decimal places it wants it rounded to, or how many significant figures. And so you would need to apply those rules. Okay, so that's area, pi times r squared. If a question gives you the diameter and says work out the area, that's fine. We're just going to divide the diameter by 2, because that gives us our radius. And that's going to come in handy for our circumference. So the formula for circumference is pi d, or 2 pi r, because double r is worth d, and that's why either of those works. I remember being taught this one when I was at school, but we tend to favour this one now, just so that they can understand the distinction between the two. And a quick way of remembering it is the squared is to do with area, because area is squares. Okay, so those are your two formulas that they need to remember, and then once they've remembered them, it's just a case of substituting in the values that they've got. And again, if we've got radius and we want diameter, we double it, and if we're the other way around, we half it. Okay, and again, the units will be indicated in the question. So if, for example, it was labelled metres, it's going to be metres squared for this one. Circumference is going to be in metres. Circumference is the posh name, I should have said this, for the perimeter for a circle. So it is the outside all the way around our circle. Okay, so it's around the outside of our circle. That's what we would have called in other shapes a perimeter, but for circles it has a special name of circumference. Okay, and that's how our circles work. Thanks.